I think that every man fundamentally knows what I'm saying. Because what I'm saying is basic. Some men may feel they're very far from this, so they don't have the time or day to listen to a person like me talk. If and when they have a moment where they exhale, or they're broken and are forced to exhale, if they would happen to listen to something I'm saying, they would immediately understand, because what I'm saying is not complex, it's not out of this world. Everybody knows this. Every guy at some point, not every guy, many guys had their hearts broken because they didn't understand anything about manhood or womanhood, became somewhat players, disrespected themselves and women, acted like they didn't care, and at some point looked at themselves and said, this is ridiculous. It's not even fun. I'm not finding what I'm really looking for. This is not deep, this is basic. Every man is in a quest to find themselves. How they're going at it varies. Most are going outwards. And that's why I ask the question, well, are you finding what you're looking for? If yes, good, enjoy. I have nothing to say. I don't have a judgment. I respect you. I understand what you're doing. You do what you got to do. God bless you. But everybody's going through that process. A lot unconsciously, some a little more consciously. And most, it's an external path towards, I'm not exactly sure what. I know what the outcome is: disease, suffering, and death. But every person is going through this. The question is, what path are you going to take? Are you conscious that this is what you're doing? And if yes, which path are you going to choose? So what I want to insist on is like, well, I'm no monk, eh? So, because there's this false idea in the so-called world of spirituality that you're spiritual, then you deny the material world. Or if you're materialistic, then you deny the spiritual world, and they're kind of trying to find some kind of weird link. I'm like, I'm not spiritual or materialistic. I'm a human. I have access to all of it. But things have to be placed in order. There's an order to things. Just like when you build a building, you start from the bottom, the foundation. And if the foundation is rotten, I'm not sure your building is gonna hold, and if it does, I wouldn't want to live in it. So you have to build from the bottom up. And your building can go so high in the sky, it's like in the clouds, city in the clouds. Yeah, but it's still anchored into the earth. So I'm not materialistic or spiritual. I don't care for any of those things. This is a concept. I'm looking for a life of fullness, a life of meaning, a life of connection, starting with myself, then with woman, and then to a greater purpose that gives meaning to my time here. Not an artificially created meaning, a genuine meaning. I can connect to it, that expands through time. T with a capital T, time. Another thing that most people do not know anymore, understand anymore. So yeah, reproduction is how a man, that's what animals do. I'm not denying that. That's just this. What about that? There must be a difference between the human and the dog. And when you look at human beings' lives, besides the fluff and the show and the pompousness that makes it look sophisticated, they behave just like animals and worse. Because animals follow a code. They're dharmic. They follow natural law. Humans follow madness, and that behind that madness, they behave like animals, but unlawful animals. And they expect to find fulfillment through this. Like I said, I don't judge. I really don't. I don't care. If this works for you, enjoy. This is your business. Doesn't work for me because it's meaningless, or the meaning of it is too little to satisfy the soul of a man. I'm like, come on. Like, so you build buildings and you die fulfilled? Who cares? The building will disappear in a couple of years. That's it. There's got to be more to it than that, man, really. There's got to be more to it than that. And that's what religion used to offer, at least ideologically speaking, to people, some kind of like context in which they can project themselves in and live that represented time and how their life, albeit all our lives are extremely insignificant, it's not. And it kind of gave you that, no, what you're doing now has meaning for the coming of Christ. Now, I don't want to get into the Christ subject. Christ is real, Christ is not real, but at the end of the day, you don't know it, so you believe in it. So it's not living in you. It's not from inside. You put a hat on, it's called the Jesus hat, or the Krishna hat, or the Muhammad hat, or whatever version of the hat you want. Like, I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. Change the hat. I'm into the Nuggets, I'm into the whatever, the Nets. It's a hat. That's not deep enough for me. It has to be born from within. That means it's true. That means I don't have to control it. If I have to control it, then it's mentally constructed. I have nothing against that. It's just not deep enough for me. I don't want that it's mentally constructed. I want nature to take over. So I can discover her power, and then I can discover her maker and flow. That's what I want, because peace is in flow. So everybody knows this. Anybody knows anything, well, you understand exactly what I mean. So, well, what are you going to flow in? The 16 bars? Oh, that's a flow. Yeah, but that's a very small micro world. Expand. Flow in the game of hip hop, or flow in the game of business, flow, that's also very small. So what game do I belong to, really? Well, obviously, we belong to the game of nature, for sure. The next question is, to whom does the game of nature belong to? Who owns nature? If we can use these words. It doesn't matter. First, play the game of nature. That's what I mean. Flow. And you can't do that with constricted ideas that limit you or bind you or impose on you being something that has got nothing to do with what you are. All it does is it creates suffering. I've gone through that suffering. I understand it thoroughly, deeply. I've worked with thousands of people through the past 20 years of my life with people who've imposed on them false ideas of themselves and suffered, and it creates such madness. People are in so much agony, you can't come to terms with what they are, when what you are, it's going to sound cliche, it's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect, but you got to figure it out. You have to discover really what it is. And it's nothing you can imagine. You can certainly not write it in a book. It's definitely not New Age, nor scientific, the new man. No. It's like, it's outside of the realm of the known. And ironically, when you really start to discover this and you go through ancient texts, oh, that's what they're referring to or hinting towards. It's not new. We've just lost it. We've lost it a long time ago. And with all our technologies, we're trying to pretend that we are going to reclaim this, we can reconnect. I'm like, you're not connecting to nobody on that stupid fucking phone, man. You have some kind of connection, but that ain't connection. It's a form of connection. It's a new form of connection. I don't want to remove the fact that it's a form of connection, but it got nothing to do with connection. So what I was saying is that nothing is new under the sun. We just need to rediscover what is, rediscover what you are, and how that actualizes itself in time. And it so happens that I'm a man. So obviously it's the actualization of a man. And on the left, let's say, there's a female or woman, it's her actualization as a woman. And I guarantee you, there's a link. There's a place where they meet, where they must meet, because each one has half of the power, the creative power. So clearly, if she has half and you have half, these powers are supposed to come together to create something. Now, animals are going to say we create little animals. Okay, fine. But when a man and a woman meet, and these two individuals are connected to themselves and to something greater, well, what do they create when they come together? What are they designed to create? Now that sounds new agey. No, not at all. This is basic. It's so basic. Everything else is preposterous. To talk about anything else when you can't get that right is as stupid as it gets. I'm like, we can't get ABC and then you want to read a book? This is the ABC. This is the foundation of the human experience. So when you observe our situation, what do you see? Rotten roots. This is not a criticism, it is an observation. Man, woman, rotten roots, when they come together, more rotten roots, it gives birth to rottenness. This is not a disrespect. It's what you see. Open your eyes and see what it is. What do you see? Well, that's what it is. To such an extent that the two now don't even want to interact with one another anymore as to avoid more trauma. This is what's going on. It's like, I think I've had enough because I don't want to have more heartache. Both are saying the same thing. Is the female's fault the man's fault? Both are sick. This is the situation. The man is diseased and the woman is diseased. The man doesn't understand or recognize his power, and the woman doesn't recognize her power. They're both unconscious, and by unconsciousness, they're trying to steal one another's power for a quick fix and try to keep the upper hand. And that's not what the game is supposed to be about. Well, if you want it to be about that, our day and age offers you the opportunity to live this. I've lived it. I think I did fairly well for myself in my career of being a player. I hated it. I felt very unsatisfied. I retired. I didn't get any awards. And I left, and I took a lot of time to unfuck myself. And I didn't realize to which extent I was fucked, confused, and how many things were stuck in me by this so-called culture. Then I had to understand why it's doing this, another subject. We're not getting to this right now. It's a detail, but I had been fucked. So you the man, you're gonna understand what I'm saying now. You the man, right? Strutting like you the man with a big brand up your fucking ass. Go figure. The irony of ironies. Made by a man who identifies as homosexual on top of that. But you the man. It's a joke. This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say. Confusion upon confusion upon confusion. On the man's side, on the female side, it's the same. No sense of self, no sense of history, no sense of past, no sense of future, no sense of anything. Just what culture puts in and hacks into your system. And then you have these two units totally and utterly confused, trying to make sense of things that collide. It's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for suffering. And now we've reached a place where both are like, you know what? Fuck you. But like I said, this is the foundation of the human experience. It is the foundation of human civilization. So technically, there's nothing more important than the roots. And this is the root system of humanity. And it's rotten. This is not me being pessimistic. It's me being 100% honest. And at some video, I'm going to get my professor's data and I'm going to share it with you. Well, I'm not going to share it with you. We're going to write it somewhere. You'll see. This is factual. This dude is a PhD 17 times. I don't know what. This is a geek of geeks, right? An academic those super geeks. So like, this is not, I'm not pulling this out of my ass. This is factual, scientific based, and it shows black on white the state of affairs between men and women. I already know it intuitively. I can feel it. I've experienced it. I can see it. But we also have the data that can prove it to you. And when you see that, and we have reached at this point, you're like, well, we got a problem. If the root system of the forest is rotten, then your forest is rotten. Guess what's going to happen? Some big trucks is going to come, and they're just going to pass by and just like remove everything and build a city on top of that, and you're going to be the slave. So sexual power is the human, sexual power. It's not porn. Sexual power is not your fetishes. Sexual power is essentially, you can say generative power, you can say creative power, you can say just energy, the energy in the circuitry of your human body, yeah, right? We're talking about actual electricity, real Shakti power, real energy. That power, we have been conditioned through thousands of generations and years to be disconnected from it, to vilify it, to hate it, to be against it, to fear it. Which means that you as a human being, we as human beings are disconnected from our power. What power do you have if that's the power nature gave you? That's what nature gave you. Nature gave you the power to create another person. As far as we know, as of today, science, with all its might, still can't do that. And even if one day it does, it's not the real thing. That is the greatest power in all of nature. Think about it for 2 seconds. So you have that atomic, supernovic power, half in you, half in her. And you're so disconnected from that power, you don't even understand it. And you jack off and you fucking spit that power out into your Kleenex or your spandex, or I don't know what you use. Proud that you're the man. And that little nasty little girl, little vibe, you know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, oh yeah, now I feel good and satisfied. This is how the sexual energy is being used. This is totally twisted and perverted. Perverted not in a negative way. Perverted, the meaning is like upside down, okay? It's madness. This is how the sexual energies are being used. And then you wonder why humanity is well, as you can clearly see, a slave race. If this is not enough, it's been like this for a long time. This is not new. There's nothing new under the sun, but it's never been so fucking evident, has it? Well, you want to know why? Because humans don't have power. They may have guns, but they don't have power. They may have diplomas and be able to explain mRNA vaccines, but they don't have power. They may have all the muscles in the world, but they don't have power. Or maybe just a tiny little bit. They may run fast like lightning, but they don't have power. And they can't even commune with her so that the two powers meet and create something that you and I cannot explain. So maybe I'm crazy, or maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, or maybe you're just an idiot. I'm not too sure. Who cares? I had to say what I had to say. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. I'm playing the YouTube game. What do you want? But I said I use words that YouTube don't like. So much for that. So the point is, I think I made my point. I made it super clear. And this is a journey of discovery. There's clearly a need. I'm not pretending to have arrived anywhere. I don't even know where it is to arrive. But one thing is for sure, I've taken a ship. I'm on it. I've sailed. I'm sailing. I'm continuing to sail. I like what I discover. I'm going to continue to discover. I'm going to take what I apply it in my life. It's working for me. If what you're doing is working for you, God bless you. If it's not, think about it.